This presentation is for the course CCST9038 Science and Science Fiction on the topic social issues, post-apocalyptic fiction, utopias and dystopia. I am Rachel. The movie I chose is Logan's Run. It is a science fiction movie released in 1976. I'll start with the background of 1970s and then the plot summary and three key issues in the movie. In 1970s, there was a growing disappointment towards the government. There was more concern for the environment. People fought for women's rights. There were also anti-war movements and increasing space exploration. Hence, many movies related to space, war, feminism, environment, and politics were made. Due to the advancement of technologies, there were more special effects in the movie. Restrictions on language, adult content, and violence had loosened up as well. The story was set at the 21st century. Due to war, overpopulation, and pollution, the remaining citizens were lived in a sealed city and controlled by a computer. They thought that they were living in a utopia and enjoying their lives. However, when the people reached the age of 30, they all need to undergo a process of renewal. The citizens thought that they would rebirth, but the truth is that people at 30 were killed due to limited resource. The protagonist of the story was Logan 5. He was a policeman catching the runners. Runners are some people who are close to the age of 30-year-old, did not accept the renewal process and wanted to escape from the city. When Logan ran outside the city to catch the runners, he met an old man. Then he realized that people lived outside could grow old naturally. Logan then returned to the city and spread the message and destroyed the computer and government. There are three main issues addressed in the movie, namely age discrimination, lack of purpose in life, and overpower of the government. In each of the issues, I will use an example which related to our daily life to illustrate its importance. In the movie, we see that people are wearing red, green, and black. The people in black are the policemen. People in red are those whose age are close to 30, and people in green are the younger ones. In the arcade, Logan was patrolling with his fellow Francis. Francis said that rat's going to run. I can't always tell, which means that the rats are distrusted by the police. In addition, people want to look younger than they were. Plastic surgery was popular and casual. In the movie, plastic surgery was done automatically with laser beams. This also illustrates the preference of using high technology in the 1970s movie. In the movie, people at the age of 30 were killed due to scarce resources. The government told the citizens that they were renewed. Is it ethical to kill the old? How is the case in our society? In a newspaper article in 2015, it said that the Hong Kong government raised the retirement age for civil servants from 60 to 65. HKUST, Ningnan University, and City University all have a retirement age of 65. Universities in the US and Australia do not impose a mandatory retirement age. As long as a person can still contribute to teaching, research, and training, he or she can continue working. However, the University of Hong Kong did not address to this issue. Therefore, some professors left for the university with extended retirement age. In the picture, these three people are fighting for extended retirement age in our university. They said, with Hong Kong's fast aging population and declining working population, there would be a position vacuum, especially among teaching and professorial staff. Another article in 2016 suggested that nearly 1 in 3 people in Hong Kong will be aged 65 and over in 2 decades' time, while the city is on track to lose 40% of its labor force over the next 50 years. A statistics in 2014 compare Hong Kong with the countries which also face the problem of aging population. It finds that Hong Kong has a lower employment rate for people aged 60 to 64. The article continued with the pros and cons of extension of retirement age, suggesting that the cons are affecting the opportunities for the young people to climb the career ladder, increasing the government's financial burden. The pros are these older workers can be an effective force by using their knowledge, experience, and personal relationships to benefit the whole community. It would also bridge the gap between the current retirement age of 60 and the availability of MPF payments, which only begin at 65. The second issue focuses on the purpose of life of the citizens. In the movie, the citizens spend their life on entertainment in the arcade because they have several mechanisms to provide them everything. They do not need to work. They have casual relationships and multiple sex partners. In the movie, Jessica was being teleported for sex with Logan. There was also a sex shop in the arcade. The citizens do not have a concept of family. Babies were bred in machines. They do not know their parents. Later, when Logan met the old man outside the city, he was surprised to hear the word father, mother, husband, and wife. The above can be summarized as focusing on entertainment, having casual sex or multiple sex partners, without family concept. Are they problems in our society? If yes, why are these problems? What is wrong of focusing on entertainment, having casual sex or without family concept? If not, why did the movie makers promise to think about these issues in 1970s? Is there a moral standard to make us human? It would be good to discuss these in the class. We will now discuss the third issue, overpower of the government. As mentioned before, citizens of age 30 will be killed due to limited resources. The government masks killing as renewal. Indeed, this is an inhumane way to control the population. Most people were deceived by the government and blindly follow. In addition, the citizens thought that this renewal process is an entertainment. They happily enjoy this. The overpower government made its citizens ignorant, and the citizens were happy with food and entertainment. They have no purpose in their lives. This is similar to the people in the capital of Hunger Games. If you work on the Hunger Games series, you may need to pay attention to this as well. In addition, the citizens could not leave the sealed city. They were ignorant and were not curious about the world outside. They were also under surveillance. The red ones in the pictures were suspected to have higher chance to leave the city. People in general are lack of freedom. Since the police had weapons and power, they made fun to whom they killed. They abused the power they have to investigate the red ones. For the girls in the city, police were attractive and were ideal sex partners because they had the power. The citizens had lost cultures and rituals in the sealed city. They did not know their ancestors. They had no idea on the burial system. They did not know the meaning of husband and wife, mother and father. In addition, they had never seen other animals as well. They were only humans in the sealed city. Here is the summary of what I have mentioned above. The government has a full control of the resources, including human population. The citizens were under surveillance. Power was abused by the police. There was a loss of culture and rituals, and the city was ecologically imbalanced. I will compare the first point with the society nowadays. Many places on Earth adopted different ways of population control. Here are some examples. In China, according to the newspaper, there are a lot of tragedies of the one-child policy. This policy was abolished in the late 2015. In India, only those with 2 or fewer children are eligible for elections to a local government. In Iran, mandatory contraceptive courses are required for both males and females before a marriage license can be obtained. In Uzbekistan, in late 1990s, it is reported that a policy of forced surgeries, including sterilizations, has been enforced. On one hand, people argue that we have limited resources. Therefore, these measurements are necessary. On the other hand, do you think that the government have the power over human rights? What if someone does not have money but wants to have many babies? Shall we let him or her do this? Shall the government then provide the education, housing, and medical care for this family? What if someone needs to undergo a surgery in order to have a baby? but he or she is not able to afford this. Shall we pay for it? We can discuss this after this presentation. Now we will move to the second point, surveillance. According to the newspaper, in 2014, 50,000 CCTV in Hong Kong skies causing intrusion into private lives. In 2013, one surveillance cameras for every 11 people in Britain were found. Up to 5.9 million CCTV, including sensitive locations such as schools, hospitals, and care homes, were found. Not to mention, nowadays we all have a smartphone telling everybody our lives and roundabout. On one hand, we may argue that this is good for our security. On the other hand, why do you think that the government needs to know so much about its people? We will now move to the third point, power abuse by the police. According to a report issued by the U.S. Justice Department in 2015, there are some cases like officers were at bus patrol, a man accused of being pedophile, a man arrested for trying to show ID, a man arrested for dancing in the street. A police even said, "You're going to jail because your wife kept running her mouth." There are many more cases in the States and in other places on earth. How much power shall we give the police? What is abuse? Is there a clear line on this? Does this picture look familiar? This looks like the movie Up. This 92-year-old woman was shot by police at her house where she has lived for 17 years. Police officers broke down into her houses and fired 39 shots, 5 to 6 of which hit her. After shooting, one of the officers planted marijuana in her house. Later investigation found that the paperwork against this lady has been falsified. The officer lied when they submitted cocaine as evidence accusing the lady having drugs in her house. The misconduct of police and use of violence would have made a severe damage to a country. Gezi Park protest was a wave of demonstration and civil unrest took place across Turkey, protecting a wide range of concerns at the core of which were issues of freedom of press, of expression, and assembly. Police suppressed the protest with tear gas and water cannons. Can you guess what are these pictures going to tell us? The picture shows us the iconic woman in red who was being tear gassed when she was protesting in the Gezi Park. In addition to the 11 deaths and over 8,000 injuries, more than 3,000 arrests were made. Excessive use of force by the police and the overall absence of government dialogue with the protesters was criticized by some foreign countries and international organizations. In the fourth point, cultures and rituals were lost in the city. In Hong Kong, many people argue that our local cultures and traditions must be safeguarded. On one hand, we experienced a fast-moving world where most talk about globalization. On the other hand, why is it still important to maintain our cultures? In the movie, the citizens had never seen cats and other animals. Their ecology is imbalanced. In Hong Kong, November 2015, our chief executive has just proposed that turning parks into houses. He suggests to turn areas with low ecological values into new flats. We are facing serious housing problems. Shall we turn parks into housing? There are many issues discussed in the movie. Even though the movie was made in the 1970s, the issues can still be related to our societies nowadays. Many people compare Logan's Run with other post-apocalyptic fiction such as 1984. In your presentation, we expect you to have a brief summary on the movie or book, the issues discussed in it and how they related to our society. Your presentation will be 15 minutes long with a 5-minute discussion. Please prepare questions for discussion. For example, in my presentation, we can discuss on issue 2, whether it's right or wrong to, on entertainment, have multiple sex partners and without family concepts. If you work on a series like Hunger Games, your presentations will be lengthened to 30 minutes. Please state clearly in your book choice on Moodle if you are working on a single book or a series. I hope you have enjoyed the presentation and have a good start of semester. Thank you.